Hi everyone, my name is Christian Limoges. I am a naturopath. I've been a naturopath for more than 35 years. Today I'm here to talk to you about digestive health. Okay, so about 20 years ago I founded a company. It's called Actumus. So Actumus means active humus. So it means that all of our products, all of them, are made from organically grown herbs, wild harvested crafted herbs. So nothing has been standardized or broken down or isolated or whatever. The reason why I'm doing this is because as a naturopath, I know that nature is the expression of the universal intelligence. And I know that when nature produces a herb, it's a very, very high technology because a herb is living. So a herb has the ability to constantly evolve after millions and millions of years. So that's the reason why I never break down or isolate my herbs. Everything is whole and it's coming from an active soil. So organically grown or well crafted. So today I'm going to talk about the digestive health. So in naturopathy, we know that your health depends on 4 pillars, okay? The first pillar is digestion. Okay, so we are not what we eat, guys, okay? We are what we don't digest, or we are what we digest. So that's the reason why people are going to react or respond differently with food. The food could be the trigger, but the problem is always the body not being able to cope with the food and digest the food. Otherwise, if the food would be the cause, it would cause everybody the same thing. So it's always the human body having a hard time coping with certain foods. So digestion is the first pillar. Once the food is digested, it goes into your small intestine, and the small intestine is where you absorb the food. So this is where the blood goes in order to absorb the nutrients that are coming from the food that have been digested. Okay, so for sure you're not digesting and absorbing what you cannot digest. You absorb what you've been able to digest and break down. Once the nutrients are in the blood brings the nutrients to the cell. And then the cell will absorb the nutrients. This is called utilization. So we have digestion, absorption, and utilization, which is the third pillar. And then after doing all that, then you need to eliminate everything fast enough to make sure that the food you eat will not ferment or rot inside of your digestive system. So it's called elimination. So we have digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination. Okay? So the main thing to understand is that the human species is an alkaline species, guys. So we've been designed to be alkaline. When you look at the physical body, when you look and focus on the physicality of the human body, we're just talking about the physical body. We are cells bathing into fluids, okay? So all of our organs, tissue, glands, everything inside of the body is first of all living, and everything is made up of cells. So one body is about 70 trillion cells. So we have skin cells, heart cells, stomach cells, spleen cells, bowel cells, bladder cells, uterus cells, all kinds of cells. And those cells are bathing into fluids. Okay? So we are more liquid than solid. Okay? Cells, okay, are fed by the blood. So the first liquid is the blood. We call it the river of life, or we call it the kitchen, because the purpose of blood is to bring the nutrients to the cells. So it brings vitamins, minerals, it brings antioxidants, it brings phytonutrients from herbs, and it brings oxygen. When the cells are getting their nutrients, or when they're fed by the blood, then the cells are doing their task. Okay, so remember, 75 trillion cells. In each one of those cells, millions and millions and millions of chemical reactions are occurring constantly. Like when I'm talking to you, imagine all of my cells communicating to each other at the speed of faster than the speed of light, guys. It's quantum speed. It's the speed of the moment. Okay? And then when the cells are communicating to each other and they're doing their chemical reactions or their task, Then they're producing cellular waste, okay? So cellular waste is always an acid. So you see, the human body has been designed to be alkaline. We are an alkaline species. But when our cells are like doing their task, they're producing acid waste. Okay, so for example, when I'm using my brain, when I'm worrying a lot, and when I'm studying a lot, when my brain cells like are working very fast and a lot, I'm producing phosphoric acid. If I'm training with weights, I'm producing lactic acid. If I'm jogging or running, I'm producing carbonic acid and lactic acid. And if I'm eating a lot of protein, I'm producing uric acid. So those are the 4 acids that the body produces the most, but the body produces like hundreds and thousands of different acids. Some of them we know, and some of them we don't know at all, because we have millions and trillions of cells. So when the cells are like doing their task, producing energy, like doing what they're supposed to do and then producing waste, they need to get rid of the waste. Okay, so this is called a microcosm. So when you look at the world, you see that the small world is like the big world. So you eat and drink, you need to pee and poo to keep your body clean. Your cells eat and drink, they need to pee and poo. So your cells are peeing and pooing inside of you. It's real. This is reality, guys. So they need to get rid of their waste. Otherwise, if the waste stays inside of the cell, it will damage the cell and it will prevent the cell from doing what they're supposed to do. So cells are constantly working at the speed of light, faster than that, producing acids all the time. So this body is like, you know, it's like a miracle. But then the cells need to dump their waste in order to be able to continue performing very well all the time, because they're never sleeping. They're always doing what they're supposed to do. But they cannot dump their toxins in the blood, because if the blood becomes toxic and acidic, then you're going to die. You're going to have problems like health problems. And so the blood needs to remain clean and alkaline all the time. So then you have the lymphatic system. So the blood is the kitchen. So the lymph is the sewage system. So the blood is activated by the heart. So even though you're not moving, the heart is pumping the blood so that you make sure that the cells are getting their oxygen and nutrients all the time. But the lymph is pumped by muscle movement, skeletal movement. So you need to exercise in order to squeeze the lymph nodes to make the lymphatic system working and circulating. So that's the reason why we need to move. We need to exercise. And that's the reason why when you look at animals in the wild, they're always exercising, they're always moving. Okay? So when you exercise, you're pumping the liquid, the lymph. So the lymph is circulating in your body, and it's collecting the waste of 75 trillion cells. Then when the lymphatic system is very healthy, it's very liquid. It's kind of like watery. So you just need to move a bit. You just need to do your exercise, and it's easily pumped, because the liquid is very clean. So the difference between lymph and blood is almost the same. They're both the same. The difference is that lymph has no red blood cells, okay? So blood has red blood cells. So lymph is like clear liquid, and it's watery. But when you become toxic, it becomes jelly. It becomes like jello, so it doesn't move well, okay? So then it just moves, it collects the waste. The waste comes from cells doing their task, and waste can come from outside. So you can collect pollution and toxins that do not belong in your body through your ears, your eyes, your skin pores, your mouth. All the chemicals that human beings are creating today, like pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, all that stuff goes into your body, but it doesn't belong into your body. So this will be collected by your lymph. And then the lymphatic system will bring the waste to the 4 channels of elimination. Okay, so a human body has been designed with 4 channels of elimination that are working 24 hours a day to keep your body clean. So you have your bowels. This is the first organ of elimination. Then you have the kidneys, the skin, which covers the whole body, and then the lungs. And you need to always, because we need to become aware of these things, you know, because your body is the expression of the universal mind. So everything has a purpose. Nothing has been designed for no reason. So the organs of elimination are the biggest organs of the human body, which shows you, or which presuppose that you've been designed to stay clean all the time. So internal cleanliness is more important than nutrition. Some people are eating like a good diet, they're eating good food, but they always feel like exhausted and very low energy. So energy doesn't come from food, because we are not what we eat, we are what we digest, absorb, eliminate. So energy comes from a clean body. It comes from internal cleanliness, okay? So today I'm here to talk about the bowel, okay? So basically speaking, we're eliminating waste when we have a bowel movement, when we pee, when we sweat, when we breathe out. But the main channel of elimination is the bowel. Okay, so the bowel this is the small intestine. So this is about 25 feet long. And the colon is about 5-7 feet long. So in between your ribs and the pubis, you have about 30 feet of a plumbing system. Inside of this organ, you have a lot of heat. So it's extremely warm. It's extremely humid, and it's extremely hot. Okay, so the bowel has been designed like to eliminate, to absorb. So you're absorbing the nutrients in the small intestines, and then the colon is just pushing everything out. So in the bowel, in the colon, you have crevices. Okay, so it's not like a flat surface, it's with crevices. And inside of the small intestines, you have villi. So instead of being flat, when you look at the inside of the small intestines, there are like billions of villi. So it makes the surface of absorption bigger. You see? So instead of being flat, if it would have been flat, it would have been extremely limited to absorb nutrients. Nature, intelligence, has created the villi to make sure that you have time to absorb the nutrients. So if you take a knife, guys, and you just cut the colon and you cut the small intestines and you put them flat on, like for example, on the floor, so that there's no more villi, no more crevices, everything is flat, it covers 2 tennis courts. Okay, I repeat, it covers 2 tennis courts. Just to show you how you are the most technologically advanced, like organic living machine on this planet, like all the animals, all the plant life, everything, because we're constantly evolving. And we're the expression of this mind, this universal mind that is expressing itself in zillions of forms. Okay? So, which shows you that you're protected. You've been designed to give you the chance to absorb every nutrient that you eat in the food that you're consuming. Okay? So what happens is that when I look at the bowel, okay, human beings are the most confused species on the planet to know what they should eat. So people are like, they're Googling, they go on the internet, everybody's confused. We have like, you know, like so many diets, new diets every day that are like created and everything. So people are confused. So when people come to see me, I need to start from the basics, or start like from explaining to them how their body works. And then I go with digestion, because if digestion doesn't work, the body doesn't work well, because your cells are bathing in fluids, and the quality of your fluids depends on your good elimination. So you see that cell health depends on quality of fluids, and quality of fluids depends on good elimination and good digestion. So digestion is the first pillar, okay? So when you look at the bowel and you look at nature, because we don't know what we're supposed to eat, so we need to look at nature. I'm a naturopath. So naturopath means path of nature. We observe, we get all of our knowledge from nature that have been around for thousands and millions of years. So it's not a lab, it's nature. life expressing itself for millions of years. So when we look at animals in the wild, guys, and we look at their inside, we see that according to the way they eat, they've been designed internally different. So this, okay, this digestive system, like human digestive system, is 12 times the length of our spine, okay? So the length of this is 12 times the length of our spine. So when we look at animals, for example, we look at a lion. A lion is a carnivorous, okay? So it's a mammal carnivorous. When we look at their inside, their bowels is like, their digestive system is 3 times the length of their spine, 3 times. Ours is 12. Why? Because everything is with purpose. Because they eat a lot of meat, because they don't eat fiber, they need to make sure that the meat won't stay inside of their bowel for too long. Otherwise, the meat will start fermenting and rotting extremely fast. It will putrefy inside of their belly. It will produce powerful poisons. Poisons are going to back up into their blood and give them problems or even kill them. So they need to eat, digest, absorb, eliminate fast. So they have a short length of bowel compared to the length of their spine. When you look at horses, deers, moose, cows, 30 times, guys, 30 times. Why? Because they're always eating grass. The grass doesn't ferment fast, it doesn't rot, even though their inside is hot and humid. So they have all the time to eat, to digest, to absorb, and then to eliminate. So it's 30 times the length of their spine. So ours is 12 times. To know what we should eat, we need to look at nature. So we're looking at nature and we're trying to find an animal that have been designed like human beings. And there is one that has been designed like identical to human beings, not close to human beings, but identical to human beings, and it's all the primates. So small monkeys, big silverback gorillas, when you look at their inside, their digestive system is 12 times the length of their spine. They're the only animals that have been designed with fingers. Fingers have been designed to pick fruits and to pick vegetables. Okay? And when you look at their genes, they're like very close to human beings. Okay? So they eat 50% fruits. So they eat raw. The fruits are extremely alkalizing, and the fruits are extremely cleansing. So 50% of their diet is fruits. Then they eat 46% vegetables. Vegetables contains vitamins and minerals like fruits, but they have amino acids. So they're builders. So fruits are cleansers. Vegetables are builders. They eat 46%. And vegetables are alkalizing too. So 96% of their way of eating is alkalizing. And then they eat 4% protein. They eat nuts, they eat seeds. Sometimes they would eat like small animals, but it's only 4%. Okay? So protein is acid forming. So 96% of their diet is alkaline forming, 4% acid forming. Everything is eaten raw. Okay? Human beings, we eat 40% plus protein. We've been told for years and years and decades, eat more protein, eat more protein. Protein is very, very acidic. When you look at a piece of meat, it's not like animals in the wild. It's dead cells bathing in dead blood. And people have not been designed to eat so much protein. So what happens is that we are not what we eat, we are what we don't digest. So all the meat that people eat is not well digested. It ends up going into their gut. Their gut is very long, very hot, very humid, and very dark. So then, because the food is not completely digested, then microorganisms will start digesting it. So it will take over, because digestion was not able to digest it. And this is called breaking down the food in nature. So microorganisms have been designed by nature to break down organic matter. And this is going to create fermentation and putrefaction in the gut. So fermentation and putrefaction are natural phenomenon that when something is not broken down or completely degraded, then microorganisms will come to completely biodegrade them. Okay? And this is called decomposing, breaking down the food. And this is, the result is fermentation and putrefaction. So fermentation and putrefaction will produce a lot of toxins and acids. So you see, we are not what we eat, we are what we digest. Because if I would be able to digest the food completely, then the food will end up going into my gut completely broken down. So it wouldn't go into fermentation and putrefaction. Fermentation and putrefaction is when the food has not been broken down completely. And this is a fact, guys. I've been doing this for 35 years plus. Most of the people are not digesting their food well. Why? Because they're eating food that goes against their nature. We're the only living creature eating food that do not fit the way we've been designed and created. And that's the reason why we are the sickest living creature on this planet. Okay? It's just a result of what we do. Okay, and when we go back with the way like monkeys and like gorillas are eating, they never eat complex sugars. Okay, so we're eating way too much protein, animal protein, and we are eating complex sugars, and primates are not eating any. In fact, there's no animals on this planet in the wild eating like bread, pasta, bagels, muffin, cookies, you know, like all that stuff, rice that is very gluey and sticky. So complex sugars are very gluey and sticky. So when I'm eating a lot of like that stuff, and we started our like life on cereals and everything, what happens is that when it goes into my small intestines and my colon, it will produce that glue that will go on the intestinal wall and on the colon wall. So just picture the bowel, go inside of the bowel with your mind and see that you're accumulating this layer of glue throughout your 2 tennis courts of surface of absorption. Okay, you see, so as long as we're eating a good diet, we keep the surface of absorption clean. So we're absorbing well, we're digesting well, we're eliminating well. When we start eating food that goes against our nature, then we start polluting this environment, which is your digestive system. Okay? So then picture that there's a plaque like accumulating on the intestinal wall. So you have the villi. Imagine that you have this layer of glue accumulating on the villi and accumulating on the colon wall. Just picture it. So then inside of the bowel you have a movement. It's called the peristaltic action. It's like a kind of a wave-like action. And then you're accumulating the glue. So then you're paralyzing the movement. So you no longer go by movement. You go because the new food is pushing the old. So this is called the transit time. Again, it's something that we observe in nature. So transit time should never be more than 18 hours. Why? Because we're very hot and very humid inside. So if I'm eating 3 meals a day, I should have 3 bowel movements a day. 1, 18 hours after each meal. So when I'm going once a day, then it means that my movements are like kind of like getting all together. And this is the definition of constipation. Constipation comes from the Latin word constipare, which means press together. So I'm eating 3 meals a day, separated by 5, 6, 7 hours each, but then I go only once a day. So it means that inside of my bowel, there's a slowdown. It means that each meal is catching up all together, and then it backs up, and then it creates what we call constipation. So once a day is not enough. And this is again what we observe in nature when animals are living in their wild, natural habitat. For sure, dogs and cats have a problem eliminating today because we're not giving them the right food also. Okay? So the average transit time in North America is 144 hours. Okay? So people go once a day, but what they're eliminating today is what they have eaten like about 6 days ago. So they have about like 12, 16, 18 meals waiting to be eliminated in a place that is dark, humid, and very hot. So it ferments. Do you understand? So this is the typical big bellies of human beings. So we don't see that in nature also. We see that among human beings. When we look at nature with animals, like looking and observing animals in the wild, we see that they have the same shape from the time they were born till they die. Human beings, their body, we get overweight, we get deformed. It's because we're accumulating toxins because the belly is not doing a good job. You understand? So this plaque is called mucoid plaque. It becomes gluey, sticky. Your body is not able to eliminate well. So it keeps the food inside because the walls are very gluey and sticky, and then the food starts fermenting, producing gas and toxins that are going to affect your cells, because your cells are going to start bathing in fluids that are becoming toxic, acidic, and loaded with gas. So they're missing the oxygen. They're missing the cleanliness of the fluids. So they're not doing a good job. So they're expressing it with the different symptoms that you're going through. It's your cells' intelligence responding to the environment that you're creating because of what you're not digesting well and what you're not eliminating well.